It's a beautiful day for baseball. And live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago White Sox in the first of 32 exhibition games for the Dodgers here in 2016. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner, Rick Monday. It is hard to believe it's now our 8th year here at Camelback Ranch. Each of the last 3 years, the Dodgers won 92 or more games. Each of the last 3 years, they went to the postseason. Each of the last 3 years, they came away feeling unfulfilled. As a result, Don Mattingly now in Miami, and Dave Roberts has become the 10th manager in Los Angeles Dodger history.
And for Dave Roberts, he comes in. He's talked to the players a lot. They have been able to talk to him. Interesting what he said earlier today. He says, today's like the first day of school. You've talked about it. You've thought about it. And for Dodger fans and baseball fans, we've all been waiting for today. Yes, it's just a warm-up, but it's nice to get back into the ballpark.
Clayton Kershaw, who will be starting on April the 4th down in San Diego, of course, will be starting today. He'll pitch a couple of innings. There's a big piece of news out of Dodger camp today. Brett Anderson had back surgery. He is going to be out 3 to 5 months. We'll be back with the lineup's first pitch. The big story, of course, we'll be delving into as the afternoon wears on from Camelback. And we're coming right back. The first exhibition game of the 2016 season. Clayton Kershaw on the hill, facing the left-handed hitting Adam Eaton, who lost one foul off to the left and out of play. We are underway. No balls and 2 strikes. It's just a picture-perfect spring training afternoon. Dodgers coming off their 92-70 season last year. The White Sox struggled. There were only 10 games under 500, only 1 game over 500 all year. So they can look to turn things around in a big way as Kershaw misses inside with a curveball, 1 and 2. Kershaw's probably going to go about 2 innings today, and then there'll be a variety of relievers for the Dodgers. John Danks pitching for the White Sox. Eaton lost 1 to left. Retreating there is Andre Ethier to make the catch, and we're underway. So let's give you the Dodger defense with Ethier in left field, Trace Thompson, the newcomer, in center. Jock Peterson will start tomorrow. Yasiel Puig in right. Alex Guerrero is at third base. Corey Seager is at short. Howie Kendrick back on a 2-year deal at second base. Scott Van Slyke at first. Adrian Gonzalez, he'll play tomorrow. Yasmani Grandal behind the plate as Brett Lawrie steps in and takes Hyatt away. 1 ball, no strikes.
And for Clayton Kershaw, just a tune-up, an outing. As you mentioned, 2 innings probably is what he's going to go, and we will see which pitch in particular he's working on today.
It's a ball under the knees to Brett Lawrie, a newcomer. He was at third base last year in Oakland, second base with the White Sox, who are looking to beef up an anemic offensive attack a year ago. Jose Abreu is on deck. Here's the 1-1, and Lawrie takes a strike on the outside corner. It is 1 and 2.
When you watch Kershaw also pitching, this is the first outing, and yet he's looking at Grandal and so far matching up well. Whether Grandal's sitting inside or outside.
On 1 and 2, Laurie swings and just gets a piece of it and fouls it into the dirt. Abreu on deck. Todd Frazier, the third baseman in the cleanup spot for the White Sox today, making his Chicago debut, followed by Melky Cabrera, Asvel Garcia, Deona Navarro, the one-time Dodger, Tyler Saldano is the shortstop, and Jacob May is in center field, and he is batting ninth. Kershaw misses. It's now 3 balls and 2 strikes. Ethier, the deepest of the 3 outfielders for the Dodgers, in left, as Kershaw delivers a fastball high and away ball for Laurie, takes a walk.
Dave Roberts, the new manager of the Dodgers, talking earlier today, said today's like the first day of school. Well, if that's the case, the classrooms are full. The Dodgers, all along the front railing of their third base dugout, there's no open space. And for the White Sox in their first base dugout, they are second row, standing only. In fact, when the clubs are introduced, the White Sox, their group went almost down, all the way down the right field line.
Now Abreu steps in and he swings and fouls it off to the right, and it's 0-1. The White Sox dugout looks like a commuter train at rush hour. Abreu last year 290, 30 home runs, 101 runs batted in, and so he's getting some help with the arrival of Laurie and Frazier. Abreu, big right-handed batter, starting at first base today. And the 0-1, a short lead for Laurie, as Kershaw misses low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Mentioned a pregame show that Kershaw was, he's very hard on himself. He may be his own worst critic. And a couple of days ago in his side session on the bullpen, he was actually yelling at himself because the curveball was not exactly as sharp as he wanted it occasionally. And that last pitch was a breaking ball and not particularly sharp on that one.
1 ball and 1 strike, so stay clear of Clayton. Abreu swings and misses 1 and 2.
Yeah, but if you ask Abreu how was the fastball following the breaking ball, I think he'll say very good.
Well, of course, the Dodgers' big news today, and it wasn't good. Brett Anderson felt a tweak in his back yesterday. Last night, Dave Roberts got a call from the new medical staff. It's more than a tweak. The disc was damaged in a ground ball foul up the third baseline. He had arthroscopic surgery, Brett Anderson did. And at this point, on the 3rd of March, they're saying he's out 3 to 5 months. So put the over-under at somewhere around the All-Star break and maybe beyond. So that leaves a big hole in the rotation. The question is, who will fill in? Might it be Bolsinger, Frias, Brandon Beachy? The 1-2 is grounded foul off to the left and out of play. So the Dodgers already behind the 8 ball here on the first day of spring training. Brandon McCarthy, he's not due back until August. You got the 2 young kids, Urias and De Leon. Might they be ready to step up? Now the 1-2, Kershaw out of the stretch, Laurie leading off first, and Abreu swings and misses. He's been struck out. First strikeout of the spring for Kershaw. That's the second out of the first.
And a good fastball that was just up and away, and Abreu loves that ball middle of the plate in. That was up and away, so Clayton Kershaw just moved the ball around. And again, just watching Yasmani Grandal doing the catch today. He's not setting up in the middle of the plate. He's working to the corners, inside and outside. At this particular point, earlier on, yes, but it's Clayton Kershaw, and he's also working the corners.
Grandal, of course, worked through a lot of injuries last year. Second half of the season, his numbers noticeably dropped off. Now here's Frazier, the former Red, with a fly ball to left field. Drifting on back is Andre Ethier. Step in front of the warning track and tracks it down. And the inning is over. No runs, no hits, a strikeout and a walk for Kershaw. After the first half of the first, White Sox nothing, and the Dodgers are coming up. Order on this Thursday afternoon begins with Howie Kendrick at second base. It was an iffy proposition as to whether or not Kendrick was even coming back to the Dodgers. Ended up signing a 2-year deal. Andre Ethier batting second in left. Yasiel Puig hitting third and right. Scott Van Slyke in the cleanup spot at first base. Grandal batting fifth behind the plate. Corey Seager in his rookie season at shortstop. He'll be followed by Kike Hernandez DHing today. Alex Carrero is at third base, and Trace Thompson, the former White Soxer, at second base, and he is batting ninth. The lefty John Danks into the wine, and he delivers low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes to Howie Kendrick. Howie last year with the Dodgers, 295. You could pretty much pencil in a 290-plus season for Kendrick. He's been a remarkably consistent player since first coming up with the Angels, now in his second season with the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with this Dodger ball club. Chase Utley, yes, he's had difficulty with the knees, but he signed. And then for Howie Kendrick, Howie, a calculated gamble, if you will. It did not accept the Dodgers offer initially.
He bypassed the 15.8, hoping for a mega contract somewhere. Didn't come around, so he came back to the Dodgers on a 2-year deal. Kendrick on 2-1 takes low and inside, 3 balls and 1 strike.
And Howie Kendrick has also been taking some ground balls at third base along with Chase Utley.
And of course Justin Turner takes outside low ball 4, so Kendrick takes a walk to begin the game. Turner, having had the micro fractures in his knee, it's been an issue for him the last couple of years. They're taking it easy. He's taking it easy this spring. And now Andre Ethier stepping in. They've been trading Ethier for the last 5 years. And here he is, another solid season turned in by Andre last year. 294, 14 home runs, 53 runs batted in. And Ethier takes a strike on the outside corner, 0-1.
Yeah, I got the scout report yesterday, actually coming in from Florida, because I jumped on a plane, and who was on the plane, working the plane? Andre Ethier's mother is a flight attendant for a major airline. Had a delightful talk and going across the country. They are expecting another child in the Ethier family.
Andre, of course, grew up in the Phoenix area, and as he takes outside and low, it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Made his major league debut with the Dodgers against the Diamondbacks, played at ASU.
You can make the argument that Ethier last year was probably, if not one of the top 2 most consistent outfielders the Dodgers had because of injuries to Puig and Crawford in right and left field. And the first half was very good for Jock Peterson.
As Ethier swings and misses, it's 1-2.
And Peterson not starting today. The other thing to keep in mind in spring training, and you mentioned Adrian Gonzalez. Well, he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow. Yes, he's had some neck issues, the bulging disc, and he understands how to deal with that. But in every game that you're going to play, the Dodgers on the road tomorrow, you have to have a representative team. In other words, the normal guys that you're going to see every day.
Ethier slaps a base hit into left center field. Kendrick will hold at second base. And so the Dodgers are in business after the Kendrick walk. Ethier singles to left. First and second, nobody out. And here comes Yasiel Puig.
Yeah, good sign also with Andre Ethier just going with the pitch. The lefty against the lefty. Ethier, he's heard all kinds of numbers. Well, how do you perform against left-handed pitching? Well, you can make the argument, I think, lefty against lefty. If you can hit the ball line drive like you did the opposite way, you're really in tall cotton.
It gets him that much more playing time. Now here's Yasiel Puig. If Puig can put together a season like he did when he first came up, he fouls it off to the right and out of play, 0-1, and be a presence in the middle of the lineup, that will go a long way for this Dodger club, whose offense was up and down last year, and so they are hoping that Puig has finally found himself.
What he was able to get rid of was a few extra pounds that he came into camp with last year.
No balls and a strike. Takes a breaking ball up and in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And I think for younger players too, Charlie, is that after you kind of come up and you understand
It's the old adage, well, it's difficult to get the big leagues. It's difficult even more so to stay there for any period of time. Well, Yasiel Puig realized that, hey, I didn't give myself the best chance last year.
And he smacks a base hit into right center field. Kendrick rounding third. He will score. Ethier's on his way to third. Throw back in is cut off. Puig with an RBI single to right, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead.
Dave Roberts has been talking about Yasiel Puig. And for Puig last year, not only the injuries, but what was the intensity level. And Puig also went with the pitch that was out away from him. Then you could see him just sprinting down the first baseline. In the event that the ball is either A, bobbled, or B, if the throw comes in and misses the cutoff man. That's exactly what Dave Roberts is talking about. So look, the fun part's over, guys. Now we get ready for the season.
Scott Van Slyke steps in at 2:39 a year ago. First and third, nobody out. Takes a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-1. So Van Slyke, a valuable member of this Dodger club, can play the outfield, the corners, first base. Comes off the bench, a potent pinch hitter. No balls and a strike, and Scott takes low and outside. It's 1-1. Van Slyke, 96 games last year. Hit 6 home runs. So Ethier's at third. Puig is at first. Danks is in trouble. The big lefty set at the chest, and the pitch is a swing and a roller foul up the third baseline. Well, we should actually introduce you to the new coaches. Third base coach is Chris Woodward. Had a solid career. George Lombard is the first base coach, and he's a fascinating fellow. Lombard, you may recall when the Dodgers went to Beijing, he became the first American to hit a home run in China. When he played for the Dodgers, as Van Slyke swings and misses, and he's been struck out. That's the first out of the bottom of the first. Van Slyke down on strikes. Rick Honeycutt, of course, is back as the pitching coach. So the Dodgers have a whole new group of coaches. Now Yasmani Grandal steps in. Tale of two halves for Grandal last year. Injuries really cut him down toward the end. Finished the year at 234. And he fouls it off his foot. It's 0-1.
I think along the lines of talking about the new coaches and Dave Roberts in his first year as a major league manager, there's a checklist that they've got to go through. Coaching staff, signs, knowing the players. You know, if you're Chris Woodward, the third base coach, okay, who gives you the good effort coming to third? Who slides? Some guys have difficulty sliding. But who's going to get the signs? And Dave Roberts, is he giving the signs to Woodward, or does he give the signs to Bob Guerin, his bench coach, and then give the sign to Woodward?
Pitch in the dirt is blocked by the White Sox catcher, one-time Dodger, Neoner Navarro. 1 ball, 1 strike. Grandal the hitter, and Seager is on deck. New bullpen coach, Josh Bard. Bob Guerin, as Mo mentioned, is the new bench coach. Juan Castro with the club this year. There's a looping line drive into right center field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Ethier will score easily. Puig jogs into third. The Dodgers take a 2-0 lead as Grandal singles to right.
And a Dodger hitter going with the ball that was out away from him. A couple of things also happened that were good. Not only is the ball hit and it's going to drop in, but the ball's caught. It's going to be a sacrifice fly. Ethier immediately stayed on the bag at third to tag up. And Yasiel Puig at first base read the ball perfectly. And he was on his horse, scampering over to third base immediately.
Tell you who else was very happy about that at-bat? The Dodgers' new hitting coach, Turner Ward. Ward, ex of the Diamondbacks, and his assistant hitting coach. Seager rolls one to second base, and it looks like a 4-6-3 double play, and it is, and that'll end the inning. Laurie to Saladino to Abreu. Seager is done. So are the Dodgers, but not before they scored 2 on 3 hits and leave 1. And after 1, Dodgers 2, White Sox nothing. Back at Camelback Ranch here in Glendale, Arizona. Mentioned on the open, it's hard to believe. 8 years now the Dodgers have been training here after all those many years down in Vero Beach.
Time does move on. Time does move on. But it does not seem as if it has been that long.
Yeah.
And I think people have gotten into the consistency of understanding, hey, look, we're only a few hours away. You can either jump on a plane to be here basically almost in a New York minute from Los Angeles and there, or jump in the car and bring the entire family.
Bring the kiddies, bring the wife. All right, here we go. Here's Melky Cabrera leading off in the second inning. Kershaw's second and final inning of work. He misses low and outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Cabrera, disappointing year last season. As he rolls it slowly to third, in comes Guerrero, picks it up a step in front of Seager, and will throw out Cabrera first out of the second.
Well, Alex Guerrero is getting more of a workout at third base. Dave Roberts and the other coaches are talking, look, we're going to see him at third base. Remember last year he would play outfield, which was a challenge. He's not the fleetest of foot. And to come in and just make the play. So important for a third baseman to be able to come in and get that ball cutting in front of the shortstop.
Yeah, you begin to wonder. You know, there are only so many roster spaces. And they're talking about Kendrick playing a little bit of third base this year. Of course, Justin Turner, they hope will get most of the time. As Avisail Garcia steps in, takes a strike, and it's 0-1. And will there be room at the end for Guerrero and as the Dodgers break camp in a month? No balls and a strike. And a breaking ball from Kershaw, perfectly delivered. It's 0-2 to Garcia, right-handed hitter.
Yeah, part of that formula in spring training, too, is that some clubs, there's no question about it, will possibly showcase a player. Needs of other teams.
On 0-2, Garcia takes a call, strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Kershaw's second strikeout.
Now, talking in the first inning also about Kershaw working the corners. So he has Garcia set up. And then for Clayton Kershaw, he threads the outside corner of the plate. I think it's interesting, too, to watch the catchers, not just the pitcher. Where's the catcher set up? Because it gives you an idea, if they're sitting inside, the guy keeps missing away, that the command of the pitcher is not that good. But come to the ballpark, watch where the catcher sets up.
Speaking of catchers, one-time Dodger catcher Dioner Navarro steps in, switch hitter, takes low and outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Dodgers with a 2-0 lead, 2 out, nobody on in the second. This is the lid lifter of the 2016 exhibition season. Maybe the most hideous baseball cliche in history. Once a year, you just get it out of your system. And it's out of the system. Kershaw delivers a strike. It's 2-1.
Yeah, there's another cliche, in particular in the first game of spring training. Oh, about the 7th or 8th inning. Let's go. Who's that coming up? Can we find that person on the roster list?
Here's the 2-1. Outside corner for a strike. 2-2 to the switch hitting Dioner Navarro.
I pointed out to you, by the way, when both teams are being introduced on the lines, that the White Sox had a few guys wearing 80s and 90s numbers.
Look forward to that. Here's the 2-2. Navarro fouls it off to the left and out of play. Dioner Navarro is now 32 years of age. Came up with the Yankees. Came to the Dodgers in 2005, then on to the Rays, back to the Dodgers, the Reds, the Cubs, the Blue Jays, and now the White Sox as Kershaw misses low and outside, 3-2.
And Navarro really had an awakening when he left the Dodgers originally. And the awakening was that he'd had so much success at the minor league level. It looked as if things came easily. And maybe he allowed them at that point to come a little bit too easily. And there was a work stoppage.
Kershaw on 3-2 delivers, and is a line drive base hit in the left field for Dioner Navarro. You know, we've known Dioner since the Yankee days, and when he first came up, his nickname was Little Pudge. Not because he could play like Pudge Rodriguez, but because he was kind of big and burly as Pudge Rodriguez was.
Yeah, well, now he's called Big Pudge.
He's in really outstanding shape at the ripe old age of 32. He's turned in a very nice career. 2 out, nobody on, and here's Tyler Saladino, the shortstop. Right-handed batter. Kershaw set at the chest. And the pitch. It's a fly ball into left field. Retreating is Ethier. He's in front of the wall, and he'll make the catch. Pretty well hit by Saladino, but always in range was Ethier on the fly ball to left. No runs and a hit. 1 man left. We'll go to the bottom of the second. 2-0 Dodgers. So Kershaw's day is likely done. Through 17 pitches in the first inning, 13 in the second, 30 pitches, 21 for strikes. 2 strikeouts, a hit, and a walk. So the Dodger bullpen is getting busy as Kike Hernandez steps into the batter's box to begin the bottom half of the second. Dodgers scored a couple of runs in the first. RBI singles for Grandal and Puig. Dank struggled in the first inning. And his first pitch to Kike Hernandez is high. 1 ball, no strikes. Kike certainly has proven to be a solid utility man as he takes outside. 2 balls and no strikes. And late in the season, when Jock Peterson was really struggling, he became the everyday center fielder. On 2-0, Danks delivers a high fly ball, short right field. Garcia underneath it. Easy play, first out of the second.
For Kike Hernandez, had the shoulder surgery. He's throwing. He says there's no pain. They don't want him yet to be in a game to where a little adrenaline might overcome common sense, and he try and throw the ball a little bit more. So he's on the schedule for throwing. Does not bother his shoulder at all to swing the bat.
Now here's Alex Guerrero, who provided perhaps the most dramatic moment of the season last year early in Colorado. As Danks misses outside and low, 1 ball, no strikes. Pinch hit, grand slam home run. Dodgers came from behind in that game against the Rockies. In the 9th inning, inside and low, 2 balls and no strikes. So Guerrero got off to the great start last season, but tailed off in the second half. Finished the year at 233 and a fly ball to left field. Well hit and gone. A home run. So Alex Guerrero, who last year hit 11 home runs, powers one down the left field line over the wall, and the Dodgers take a 3-0 lead.
Guerrero, pretty good fastball hitter. And he gets a pitch that is up in the strike zone, and it is up and out over the left field fence. Guerrero kind of quieted down the swing towards the end of the season last year.
Now here's Trace Thompson, Takes inside and high. 1 ball, no strikes. Came over from the White Sox. Slick fielding second baseman. Plays him outfield. And he drills one to left field. Back goes Melky Cabrera. He's in front of the wall and makes the catch near the Dodger bullpen. Thompson with warning track power, and that's the second out.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see Trace Thompson playing more in spring training. I called around and asked a few people and talked to some White Sox people as well. He has a lot of different abilities, and for him to be able to swing the bat, talking with one of the coaches last night, said very quick hands, so he's going to be interesting to watch here and trying to make some noise in spring training.
Now Howie Kendrick. And Howie takes high and away. 1 ball, no strikes. And of course Thompson's brother, Klay Thompson, one of the stars of the great Golden State Warrior team. Kendrick on 1-0, lashes one to left center field. Running it down is Cabrera to make the catch, and that will end the inning. Pretty well hit off the bat of Howie Kendrick. 1 run, 1 hit, the home run by Guerrero. And we'll go to the third with the Dodgers up 3-zip. Fans guarantee your tickets to opening day with a 2016 Dodgers mini plan. Visit Dodger Stadium on Saturday from 10 to 4 to make your purchase and take your photo with the 1988 World Series trophy. Visit Dodgers.com/open house. So Kershaw's day is done. Pretty much according to Hoyle. 2 innings, no runs and a hit, 2 strikeouts and a walk, 30 pitches, 21 for strikes. And again, it's more shaking off some of the rust than anything else. Joe Blanton is now on in relief. Blanton, of course, primarily a starter during the course of his career, but he seemed to find his way last year as a middle reliever, and so the Dodgers have brought him back to do just that. Yeah, and it gives you a couple of different looks. The fastball, the breaking ball, but especially now, as you mentioned earlier, is with Brent Anderson going down with the surgery today on his back on a disc. It kind of opens the door for one additional pitcher who maybe came to spring training and said, well, I wonder if I have a chance. Jacob May, left-handed batter, actually a switch hitter, is leading it off. He's in center field for the White Sox this afternoon. He takes outside, 1 ball, no strikes from Blanton. And a liner right into the glove of a perfectly positioned shortstop, Corey Seager. 2 pitches, May's done, first out of the second. Now, Kershaw's afternoon as far as on the field has been completed. However, he walked down to the bullpen on the left field fence, the Dodgers bullpen, and he is still throwing down there. As our late great friend Jerry Coleman used to say, he's throwing up in the bullpen. Adam Eaton takes a strike, and it's 0-1. He didn't invent that line. It just came out that way.
Just came out. And every broadcaster since that time has been saying, let me choose the words a little more carefully.
Eaton takes inside, left-handed hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fly to left against Kershaw in the first inning. Blanton delivers. Burly right-hander. Big, thick tree trunk legs. Delivers a breaking ball for a strike. 1-2.
By the way, nice to see you again.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
We're back.
Walked into the Dodger offices this morning, and there you are.
We didn't see Tommy right away. But we will. Here's the 2-2.
He greeted us a couple of years ago, right at the door.
It was more than opening day.
Steve Brenner wishes he had been there.
The 2-2 swung on and missed strike 3. So Blanton comes in, retires the first 2 batters he faces. Joe from Nashville, Tennessee. He's now 35 in his 11th big league season. So Eaton is down. 2 out, nobody on. Blanton came up with the A's. Then to the Phillies, Dodgers, Royals, Pirates. But last year in Kansas City and Pittsburgh is that long man we're telling you about. With the Royals, a 3.89 ERA. With the Pirates, in 21 appearances, 5-0 and a 1.57 ERA. So the Dodgers are certainly hoping that he can provide those kind of numbers as a middle reliever. Jamie Wright, by the way, is in camp. Jamie's about 103 years old, but looks great. Here's the 1-0. Outside and high. 2 balls, no strikes. Talked to Jamie yesterday. He sat out all of last year. Felt he could still throw a little bit. Lives maybe 5 minutes from Clayton Kershaw down in Texas. They played catch every day. Here's the 2-0. There's a strike on the outside corner to Brett Lowry. And it's 2 balls and a strike. Felt good. Felt like he still had some stuff. And so Jamie Wright trying to hook on with the Dodgers this year. He's 41. Here's a 2-1. Line foul off to the right and out of play. 2-2 to Brett Lowry.
And the back end of the description of what is your age, I think of the front end of Tommy Lasorda, talking in reference primarily back in 1981 with the left-hander by the name of Fernando Valenzuela. Tommy had a great line. He says, you know, I've never gone to the mound and asked to see the ID of any of my players to check their birth date. They can pitch, they can pitch.
The 2-2 is a fastball low and outside. 3-2 to Lowry. And Fernando was here the past couple of days. I think he's headed back to Los Angeles. Well, I tell you what, when he walks around campus here, everybody notices. 3-2 to Lowry, right-handed batter. He swings and pops it up into short center field. Sprinting on in to make the play is Trace Thompson. And that'll end the inning. So Joe Blanton comes in and pitches a perfect third. We'll go to the bottom of the third. Dodgers 3-0. Back at Camelback, we go to the bottom half of the third inning. And the White Sox have a new pitcher in. Matt Albers. So Dank's day is done. He went 2 innings. Gave up 3 runs and 4 hits. 1 home run. 1 strikeout, 1 walk, and now it's Albers. He'll be facing Andre Ethier. Andre singled to left, scored a run in his first at-bat. Albers delivers, and that's a line drive into right field, but right at Abisail Garcia. Well struck off the bat of Ethier, and that's the first out of the third.
Whether spring training or regular season, you get back to the dugout. That's where you start to say, hey, hang with him. All you can do is hit the ball hard. You cannot guide it. Albers, by the way, when he first came on, he's from the Houston area, and they signed with the Astros, but he's had some arm problems, including last year just in 30 games total. He had rotator injury when he was with the Astros, so signed with the White Sox.
And now here is Puig, who takes a strike on the outside corner. 0-1. Puig with a single to right. Drove in a run in his first at-bat of the spring. Boy, the Dodgers keeping their fingers crossed, hoping that Puig can remain healthy all year and kind of put together a season. Remember when he came up a couple of years back, 3rd of June, and then everything took off and he became an overnight sensation. He has yet to find that level of play on a consistent basis, and they are desperately hoping that they can put him right in the middle of the lineup. 2 balls and a strike to Puig.
Charlie, I think last year Yasiel Puig got overly anxious as a hitter. He chased a lot of pitches up in the strike zone to get him behind in the count early.
On 2-1, Albers delivers inside. Well, he checked his swing but went around, according to the first base umpire Corey Blazer, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, this is the other thing that he did last year. You see, he's way out on his front foot to begin with. And as soon as you start, when you're hitting off of the delivery instead of the pitch that is thrown, you get so many check swings. And he had check swing after check swing last year.
Now on 2-2, Albers delivers a fastball, call strike 3 on the outside corner. So Puig down on strikes, 2 out and nobody on. And Scott Van Slyke is coming up. Van Slyke, a strikeout victim in his first at-bat. And Scott fouls it back. It's 0-1.
Well, we just saw our first shift of spring training. Second baseman Brett Lowry, for those that are watching the simulcast, saw him scamper over in front of your screen, so 3 men to the left side of the infield. We'll talk about that shift in a little bit when the Dodgers are on defense.
Albers on 0-1. Breaks his bat, does Van Slyke, and the shifted second baseman Lowry is perfectly positioned. Field the 1 hopper, and that'll end the inning. 0 across. We'll go to the 4th inning with the Dodgers leading 3-0. Paisley with Tyler Farr, Matty and Tay live at Irvine Meadows Amphitheater Friday, May the 20th. Buy tickets at livenation.com. So Joe Blanton is out to pitch his second inning of relief. Kershaw did well in his first 2 innings of the spring. No runs and a hit and a couple of strikeouts. Jose Abreu steps in. Power hitting right-handed batter, and he takes high and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Nice lazy day here in the Valley. Dodgers and the Rangers tomorrow. Radio only. Abreu fouls it off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. Scott Kazmir will be making his Dodger debut. Will be on the air at 11:30 Pacific time. Still an hour later here in Arizona for another couple of weeks. First pitch will be 5 afternoon Los Angeles time, 1:05 p.m. 2 balls and a strike now to Abreu, with Todd Frazier on deck and Melky Cabrera to follow.
What defensive change? Alex Hassan takes over in left field for Andre Ethier.
And a pop-up off to the right and out of play.
I was talking about the shift a moment ago. And so many teams now instituting the shift. Sometimes it seems like it's for no particular reason. However, we started to notice a problem. And Dave Roberts has addressed it. He goes, you know, we have the shift on. We have people in areas that they're normally not in. So it changes the cutoff and relays. It changes the rundowns. And that's something the Dodgers have worked on defensively.
Blanton misses outside and low, 3-2.
On how to adjust the defenses when you have shifts that are being applied to so many of the hitters now. So it's still a work in progress, but it's something that has been addressed, and I think rightfully so.
On 3-2, Abreu fouls it off again to the right.
If you stop and think, you'd have 3 guys on the left side of the infield, as they did when that last out was made with Van Slyke. If there's a cutoff or relay, well, the second baseman has to run about 100 feet. Who's the cutoff man? Who's the lead cutoff man? Who's the trailing cutoff man? Responsibilities change.
Abreu on 3-2 whacks one foul down the left field line. Third base coach Super Joe McEwing has to get out of the way. Darrell Boston, the first base coach for the White Sox. Dodgers 3-0. We're in the top half of the 4th. Blanton on in relief of Kershaw. And now the 3-2. Another hard liner foul up the third base line. So Blanton in his second inning of relief. We'll also see Carlos Frias, Yimi Garcia, Adam Lipitor, and Matt West before this day is done. So as Mo mentioned, the Dodgers have made the first defensive alteration. Alex Hessen is in left. Ethier had a couple of plate appearances. Hit the ball solidly twice, and a ground ball slowly hit up the third baseline, and Blanton having difficulty getting rid of Abreu.
Dodgers and White Sox baseball returning here to Candleback Ranch. I say returning because there was a fantasy camp here in January, mid-January. Dodgers and White Sox combined, and they played some of their games right here at Camelback Ranch. These 2 ball clubs, the organization sharing this complex.
You didn't hurt yourself, did you?
No, pain is optional, no longer mandatory. But Darrell Boston, the first base coach of the White Sox, says, I can't wait to get back here in spring training, get underway.
On 3-2, Abreu swings and misses on a slider in the dirt. And he is down on strikes for Blanton. He's retired all 4 batters he's faced and struck out 2 of them. It's the first out of the 4th.
For Blanton is taking advantage of hitters. And I've always felt that hitters at this point are much behind the pitchers. Pitchers and catchers come down a little bit earlier because it takes longer for the arms to get into shape of pitchers and responsibilities. So it's kind of tough going for hitters the early part of it. You jam yourself, you swing at bad pitches.
Now the pride of Toms River, New Jersey. Todd Frazier takes a ball outside and low, 1 ball, no strikes.
Frazier gives you extra base opportunities 39 doubles last year, second best in the National League.
On 1-0, he swings and pops it off to the right, now to play. 1-1.
Of course, Frazier was playing at that ballpark, the friendly Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. You look at Brett Lowry, also, who's batting second, playing at second base. Can get on base, extra base power.
The 1-1 is low and outside, 2-1. Frazier now 30. That was part of the big deal with the Reds, the White Sox, and the Dodgers. Dodgers got Micah Johnson, Frankie Montas, and Trace Thompson in the deal. And a foul off to the right and out of play. And off to Cincinnati, Brandon Dixon, Jose Peraza, and Scott Schebler. Another foul off to the right. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Frazier. And he's a solid citizen. He was always one of the clubhouse leaders in Cincinnati, enormously popular. Of course, he had the dramatic win in the home run derby last year. On the final swing, as it turned out, the 2-2, low and outside, 3-2. Frazier, a career .257 hitter. Last year, 35 home runs, 89 runs batted in. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, top of the 4th. Dodgers with a 3-0 lead. Alex Guerrero a home run today. Now Blanton deals, swung on and missed, strike 3. Boy, Joe Blanton has faced 5 batters, struck out 3 of them, 2 out, nobody on, and Melky Garcia's coming up.
Yeah, it looks like Blanton's trying to make an impression, like in that classroom. We talked about Dave Roberts saying, well, this is like the first day of school. And Blanton is raising his hands and pick me, pick me. Going to open some eyes, might as well do it quickly.
Yeah. Well, he's a veteran, and again, he's kind of reshaped his career as a middle reliever. Delivers a strike to the switch-hitting Melky Cabrera, and it's 0-1. Cabrera bounces short in his first at-bat. We're in the top of the 4th. Dodgers 3-0, and Cabrera off the fist. A fly ball into short right center field. Trace Thompson is there, and he'll make the catch. 6 up, 6 down. A good performance for Joe Blanton this afternoon. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Dodgers 3, White Sox 0. Before we head to the home half of the 4th, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification here on the Dodgers Radio Network. Charlie Steiner, Rick Monday. It's the first exhibition game of the 2016 season. And after 3.5 innings of play, the Dodgers 3 runs and 4 hits. The White Sox no runs and 1 base hit. After Matt Albers pitched the 3rd inning, retiring the Dodgers in order. Now it's Zach Duke, the one-time Pirate, delivering a fastball for a strike. 0-1 to Grandal, with Corey Seager on deck and Kike Hernandez to follow. Grandal, a single to right in his first at-bat. Switch hitter batting for the right-hand side. He pops it up in the infield, and an easy play at first base for Jose Abreu. That's the first out of the 4th inning. Now Corey Seager, who is widely regarded as the #1 prospect in baseball. Dodgers, of course, saw him down the stretch last year, and not for a moment was he fazed by the enormity of the task in front of him. They throw him right into the middle of the pennant ring. Seager swings and misses. 0-1. With the Dodgers in 27 games, all he did was hit .337. 4 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Left-handed hitter on 0-1, takes inside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Very quiet stance for Corey Seager. Does not lunge at the ball. Referred to one of the problems that Yasiel Puig had last year. Over anxious, jumped a lot of pitches. Not Seager. He stays back, sees the ball.
The 1-1. He swings and misses. 1 and 2.
Remember, for Seager last year, he was called up. Howie Kendrick got hurt. Kike Hernandez and Jose Peraza also got banged up. And for Seager, just staying back in a big swing. About that same time, Justin Turner's knee issue came up.
Seager takes outside and low 2-2.
And just 2 days after Corey Seager made his major league debut, Jimmy Rollins injured the right index finger. So Seager wound up starting 25 of the last 30 regular season games.
Fouls it back off to the left and out of play. He was unfazed. It was just remarkable to watch not only his ability to play, but his body language. It was as if he belonged, and he did. Here's the 2-2. Swinging a foul off to the left and out of play.
A lot of things remarkable about Seager when we did see him last year. He's been much ballyhooed, and for very good reasons, but he reached base in 24 of the 25 starts, including the first 21 starts it had. That was a franchise record for LA.
2-2. Seager rolls it slowly to third. In comes Frazier, picks it up, throws him out. Seager's retired, 2 out, and nobody on. I remember last year when we first started watching Seager here in Arizona. One day, sometimes you say stuff where you just wish you hadn't have said it, but it comes out. There's just no safety net. And I watched Seager, and I mentioned to you, I said, defensively, because he's long and lean, much like a young Cal Ripken. Here's Kike Hernandez taking high and away, 1 ball, no strikes. And I said, he reminded me of a young Cal Ripken. I said, oh, now why do you got to go and say stuff like that? Well, the next day, the scrum around Mattingly said, wow, who does Seager remind you of out there at shortstop? There's a call strike. 1-1 to Hernandez, and without missing a beat, Donnie said, a young Cal Ripken. Oh, what was I wrong?
And without missing a beat, you raise your hand and say, excuse me, would you mind repeating that?
Louder, please. And then somebody asks next. Kike Hernandez whistles a line drive into the left field corner to the wall, and he will arrive at second base with a 2-out double. And they asked Mattingly, who does he remind you of offensively? And he said, John Olerud. So he's got some big shoes to fill, does Seager. Now here's Hernandez at second base with 2 out, and Alex Guerrero coming up. Point is, since the Dodgers drafted Seager in 2012, whenever there's been a trade possibility, somebody would call the Dodgers, Seager was a non-starter. And he wasn't going anywhere. Now he's the everyday starter, of course, at shortstop, and the Dodgers hope for years to come. Now Guerrero steps in. Zach Duke delivers the lefty low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Guerrero with a home run down the left field line in his first at bat of the spring. Trace Thompson is on deck. Zach Duke on in relief. He's the third White Sox pitcher, and a ground ball to third baseman Todd Frazier picks it up, throws out Guerrero, and the inning is over. No runs and 1 base hit, 1 man left. We'll go to the 5th. Dodgers with a 3-0 lead. Some changes as we head to the top half of the 5th inning. First exhibition game of the spring. Yimi Garcia now on in relief. Micah Thompson, who came over from the White Sox, takes over for Howie Kendrick at second base. And a right fielder by the name of Corey Brown, a non-roster invitee. He's out of Tampa, Florida. Played a little bit with the Red Sox and the Nationals, and now with Puig's day done, it is Brown in right. Micah Thompson takes over for Kendrick at second. And after 2 spotless innings for Joe Blant, 3 strikeouts, 31 pitches, Yimi Garcia on in relief. And he delivers low and outside, 1 ball, no strikes to Asvail Garcia. Garcia, right-handed hitter, took a called 3rd strike in his first at-bat. Kershaw 2 innings, no runs and a hit. Blanton 2 perfect innings and 3 strikeouts. Garcia delivers a hard slider for a strike. It is 1-1. Top of the 5th, brought to you by the 2016 Chevy Silverado. Chevrolet, find new roads. Tomorrow, radio only. The Dodgers and Rangers in surprise. And we'll be on the air. Los Angeles time, pregame 11:30. First pitch at 5 afternoon. And on Saturday, television only. Dodgers and D-backs right here. First pitch at 5 afternoon, Los Angeles time. 1-2 to Garcia with Dioner Navarro on deck and Tyler Saladino to follow. Well, if you had just joined us and you haven't heard the news before the very first pitch of the day, it was announced that Brett Anderson had a disc issue, had it surgically solved, but it's going to take between 3 and 5 months before he can come back and pitch. So that blasts a gaping hole in the Dodger rotation. Garcia struck out by Kershaw in his first at bat. Awaits the 1-2 from Garcia. Here it comes. A swing and a fly ball into short right field. Slicing foul, and a sliding attempt by Corey Brown. Can't quite reach it. Bounces onto the warning track and into the stands.
Impressive effort going over, and you know you're running out of room, and that low fence is fast approaching in foul territory.
So yesterday it was reported that Brett Anderson had, a little tweak in the bat. The ground ball slowly hit to third. Nice easy hop for Guerrero. Throws across the diamond. Van Slyke at the receiving end. Garcia's retired first out of the fifth. Well, the little tweak turned into a big proposition. And Anderson, who had his healthiest year last year, of course, he had been, over the course of his career, had lots of issues with health. And he is down for the count for the time being. The owner, Navarro, the switch hitter, batting for the left-hand side. And Garcia delivers a strike, 0-1. Boy, Yimi Garcia had an up and down year, didn't he? When he first arrived. Whoa. Then he gave up a home run, and then you got the sense that his confidence was really shattered. And down and up, down and up. And a short line drive into left or center field. Trace Thompson tries to make a diving attempt. It's off the tip of his glove. It'll drop in for a hit. Navarro is 2 for 2.
Watching Thompson get a jump in center field. Got a very good jump. Read the ball. Took a chance in diving for it. But he knew full well, even if he does not catch the ball, make sure you at least get a portion of the ball. It's a terrific play. When you're making a dive, you don't come up with it, and you're still able to hold the runner to a single.
Thompson, an L.A. kid, lives in Dana Point. As Saladino, the shortstop, takes a strike, 0-1. Trace 6'3", 2 1/4. Went to Santa Margarita. Oh, 1. Garcia deals. Strike on the outside corner. And it's 0-2.
By the way, for Trace, his dad called up. He wants to play in basketball. He played at 20 points. He'll give you 18.
I'd go all in on the other guy. There's the 0-2. Oh, high and in. Saladino has to limbo out of the way. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. So Thompson was thrilled when he found out that he was traded to the Dodgers. 1 out, 1 on in the 5th. Dodgers a 3-0 lead. Guerrero a home run today. Breaking ball outside corner. And Saladino tried to check his swing, and he went around. And so that's the first strikeout for Garcia.
After you had some chin music and another breaking ball away, you're going for the protection mode and cannot hold up.
So there's 2 out. And Jacob May steps in.
And a pinch runner now for Navarro.
I believe that's Adam Engel. Well, all right. Wearing the glamorous number 87 on his back. Garcia misses outside the low 1 ball, no strikes at Jacob May, who's wearing the equally glamorous number 86 on his back. 2 out. Top half of the 5th. Dodgers with a 3-zip lead. Garcia set chest high. Quick toss to first base. It gets past Van Slyke and goes into the camera well. So Engel will go to second base.
Well, that'll be on the list of things to work on for Yimi Garcia. If you're going to throw it away, might as well throw it way away.
So the error has the White Sox with their first runner in scoring position this afternoon. Adam Eaton is on deck. With Adam Engel leading off second. Garcia misses outside. Now 2 balls and no strikes. The White Sox have really struggled the last few years. Last year finishing 10 games under 500, 19 games behind the eventual world champion, Kansas City Royals. White Sox dead last in the American League in runs per game and home runs. They were above 500 only once last year at 18 and 17. 3 losing seasons in a row. Last playoff appearance 2008 would lose the division series to the Royals. So a walk to May. First and second, 2 out. And Adam Eaton stepping in. Eaton flied to left and has been struck out. Dodgers with a 3-0 lead. And Eaton takes a breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. The Diamondbacks a couple of years back had an embarrassment of riches in center field. They had A.J. Pollock and Adam Eaton. And center field in Arizona wasn't big enough for both. Eaton would be traded to the White Sox. Pollock, of course, has really emerged as a star in center field for the D-backs. And Eaton had a very solid year last year in Chicago, as Garcia misses outside. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Eaton, 5'8", 185, and he is a fast runner. Hit 287 last year. Stole 18 bases. Good leadoff hitter. The 1-1, and instead Garcia steps off the rubber. One ball, 1 strike, and 2 out, 2 on. Top of the 5th. Dodgers with a 3-0 lead, and a fly ball to center field, drifting on back. Trace Thompson is there, makes the catch, and the inning is over. Curious to get your review of Thompson playing in center field today when we come back. After 4 1/2, Dodgers 3-0. Fans, mark your calendar for Wednesday, April the 13th, when the Dodgers host the D-backs at 7:10. And the first 40,000 fans in attendance receive an adult hooded sweatshirt presented by Bank of America. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. New pitcher for the White Sox is Jake Petrichka, who made 62 appearances out of the bullpen last year, a record of 4-3. In 52 innings, 33 strikeouts, 18 walks, and ERA of about 3 2/3. Now Trace Thompson steps in. As we're going to break, I was curious about what you've seen out of Trace Thompson, the first half of his first game with the Dodgers, playing in center field. He takes high and away, 1 ball, no strikes.
First thing about him is athleticism, regardless of the position. You look at a player and say, okay, he's got good movements and he's able to have good control of the body to move around.
Petrichka misses high. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. We're in the bottom half of the 5th. First game of spring, and the Dodgers a 3-0 lead. And Thompson with a ground ball to short. High hop. Boy, he runs very well, doesn't he? Long throw from Saladino just gets Thompson by an eyelash, first out of the 5th.
And that's another dimension for Trace Thompson, to be able to force the infield. To realize is, look, here's a guy that runs well and he runs hard all the time. Now that was a bang play. Oh, he was out. But it sends a message to infielders. And over the course of a season, how many times will you force an infielder to rush things, you get aboard, and 1 run in a game can win it for you?
Now stepping in his first plate appearance is Micah Johnson. And the left-handed hitter hops into shallow left field, where Rocky Cabrera is there to make the catch, and that is the first out. Correction, the second out of the 5th.
Charlie, going back to younger players, whether it be Trace Thompson or someone else, here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a veteran in baseball, whether it be with the Dodgers or somebody else, or multiple teams. There's going to be a veteran that hits maybe 200 in spring training. Questions will arise. There's going to be a few youngsters that will hit 550, and a few eyebrows will be rising and say, well, wait a minute, shouldn't you have this guy? Not that you're going to discount anything that is done in spring training, but don't be shocked by low numbers of veterans, and they're getting into shape, and high numbers by rookies who are trying to impress somebody.
Alex Hassan is the batter. His first plate appearance. He took over in left for Andre Ethier. Andre hit the ball solidly today, twice, a base hit, line to left, and scored a run. Dodgers 3-0. Now Hassan awaits the pitch from Petrichka, and it's outside and low, 2-1. We've been saying it forever, and especially in spring, it's not whether you win or lose, it really is how you play the game.
And if you play the game, it's going to have a direct result on if you win or lose as a team.
Here's the 2-1, low and outside, 3-1. So the spring training team records are by and large irrelevant. Last year, the Dodgers would end up winning 92 games. They were 16-11 in spring. In 2014, when they won 94, they were 7-12. In 13, there were 7 games under 500. Alex Hassan on 3-2. Petrichka set at the belt, and the pitch is on the way. There's a line drive, base hit into left field. So Alex Hassan is aboard with a single to left with 2 out in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, Dave Robertson, the manager, he's got, as we were talking earlier, really in the opening, the first part of the broadcast. New coaches as far as day in and day out seeing the Dodger players. Well, Dave wants to see as many of the younger players. Oh, he knows about Adrian Gonzalez. He knows about Justin Turner, Howie Kendrick. Those players have been around before and have already earned their points, so to speak. But what about everybody else in the organization?
The hitter now is Corey Brown, his first plate appearance, replacing Puig, who was 1 for 2 and an RBI today. Brown, left-handed batter.
Brown has some power. Biggest thing is going to be making consistent contact where he can take advantage of the power.
Quick toss to first base. Back with the head first slide is Alex Hassan.
I talked earlier also about catchers. See where the catchers are setting up. Well, at that time, Rob Brandley, who just took over this inning for Navarro behind the plate, was sitting inside. And we'll see if he does it again. So they're trying to come in and jam. This time they showed in. They're going to go away.
The 0-1 is inside and low.
Yeah. Well, he showed in, Brandley did, and then slid outside. But Petriska threw the ball in.
Corey Brown, 6'1", 200. Bats left, throws left. And in 4 years has played in a total of 39 big league games, while playing 952 in 9 years at the minor league level. 2 balls and a strike.
Another note on Brandley. If you're the home plate umpire, today is Todd Titchener. I would think that Brandley is not that easy to umpire behind.
Swing and a ground ball to second base. And there's Brett Lawrie to pick it up and throw him out.
Yeah, I'll talk about that when we come back. But because Brandley has so much movement, you see the home plate umpire move around. Well, I'm the pitcher. I'm going to tell the catcher, sit still. Guy behind is not able to see the ball.
We'll go to the 6th. 3-0 Dodgers. So the Dodgers make some changes as we head to the 6th. We'll begin with a new pitcher, Carlos Frias. The shortstop is Charlie Culberson, once of the Rockies. And the new catcher is Austin Barnes. Dodgers 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. And the White Sox no runs, 2 hits, and no errors. Frias delivers a fastball low and outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
Yeah, I was talking about the catchers, and for those on the simulcast who are watching, if you look at Austin Barnes, he's very quiet behind the plate. Not the case with Brandley. Brandley was moving all over, and the umpire has a setup at the very last second.
The 1-0 is fouled off to the right and out of play.
Of course, that umpire will set to the inside shoulder. In other words, a right-handed batter. He'll set up to the left shoulder of the catcher, left-handed batter. He'll set up to the right shoulder, the inside shoulder. The late Catfish Hunter had a great line for his catchers in his Hall of Fame career.
Frias delivers a fastball outside at low 2-1.
And what Catfish would say is that he would tell his catchers, I want you to sit right in the middle of the plate. I don't want you to sit to the corner, inside or outside. Sit right in the middle. That way the umpire never has to move.
The 2-1 is a fastball outside, 3-1.
So what was Catfish throwing at? If you don't have the target going out, you have to throw at the mitt. Catfish Hunter would pick up the knees of the shin guards. He goes, I don't want to throw above the knees. So he would look to the shin guards. Well, that's the inside and outside corner if you're on the mound looking into home plate. And that slot off the shoulders was up and in or up and away.
Frias on 3-1, a swing and a foul back off the bat of Lawrie. It's 3-2.
And if you think about it, Charlie, if you're throwing to the shin guards to the knees and below, inside and outside, and then off the shoulders, inside and outside if you're going up, Doesn't that simplify everything, including the fact that you have the umpire does not have to guess if the last second he has to move in or out? Just makes sense.
Frias on 3-2. Laurie fouls it back.
Well, when you have somebody with the skill level of Catfish Hunter, that he can make it look easy.
He could thread a needle from 60 feet 6 inches away.
He was something.
But the Atlanta Braves were the first team that I realized is that, wow, they're really extending way out. Why not sit right in the middle of the plate if you got good control?
Frias on 3-2, misses outside a low ball 4. So a leadoff walk for Brett Laurie here in the 6th.
So there's a walk. You see the good that it does if the catcher sits behind home plate right in the middle. You still have to throw strikes.
Well, the great Greg Maddux in camp with the Dodgers as instructor. Much like Catfish, he could thread the proverbial needle.
Well, this is interesting with Travis Ishikawa, who took over at first base and now batting. When he first came up, and he was with the Giants, and boy, they had high expectations. It just never really worked out to that level for him.
Runner goes. Ishikawa ground ball to first base, bobbled by Van Slyke. Picks it up. Underhanded toss to Frias. Out at first. But Laurie running all the way on the play. Goes from first to third on the fielder's choice.
Well, Lowry was almost halfway to second base when that ball was hit initially. I mean, he got a tremendous jump. And then he looked over the right shoulder. One thing that he did not do was to pick up his third base coach, that being Joe McEwing. But that's a lot of hustle right there. That's impressive. Go from first to third. Yes, you were going, but an infield out nonetheless.
Dodgers will play the infield back. The 3-1 lead as Frias misses outside a low, 1 ball, no strikes to Todd Frazier. Well, the Giants a few years back had Ishikawa and Belt come up at roughly the same time. 1 ball, no strikes. There's a call strike to Frazier. 1-1. Todd is flied to left and has been struck out. Little League World Series champion Todd Frazier. Toms River, New Jersey. Under the knees, it's outside a low, 2-1. With Brett Anderson gone 3 to 5 months, one of the names that was mentioned this morning by manager Dave Roberts as a potential fill-in there is Frias. So he's going to foul back and out of play. 2-2. Boy, Frias had some ups and downs last year, didn't he?
Hey, more than just plane tickets. There were some games he was spotless on the mound, and there were games that he spent a great deal of time backing up bases. But at no time did he hang his head. At no time did he lose his confidence. And had all of his teammates pulling for him.
Fly ball into right field. Drifting on back is Corey Brown. He will make the catch. Tagging and scoring is Laurie. And that's the first run of the game for the White Sox. The Dodgers 3-1. Sac fly for Todd Frazier. Well, look who's stepping into the batter's box. One-time Dodger Jerry Sands. Sands came up a few years ago and had maybe 2 of the best weeks of his life. And Dodger Stadium crowds are screaming, Jerry, Jerry. And he has bounced around since.
Good fastball hitter, and the key to his success earlier on, he was a doubles machine when he first came up, and most of those were to right center field.
No balls and a strike.
And a fly ball into center field. Racing on back is Trace Thompson at the wall. He can't get it. It's off the base of the wall. And the aforementioned doubles machine, Jerry Sands, arrives at second base over the head of center fielder Trace Thompson.
This is a big ballpark. It's 410 feet to straightaway center. And it's not the easiest ballpark, from talking to the players, to really pick up the flight of the ball off the bat. And Thompson going back, got a little bit turned around, but even if he's not turned around, that ball was hit into the deepest part, into that corner. That is a long, long run.
410 straight away, 380 in the power alleys, and 345 down the lines. Garcia steps in. Frias is scuffling here in his inning of work. Missing outside and low, 1 ball, no strikes. Adam Engel is on deck. Frias delivered a swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike to Garcia. Garcia last year 257, 13 home runs, 59 runs batted in. He's been with the Tigers and the White Sox. From Venezuela, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dodgers with a 3-1 lead. They've out hit the White Sox 6-3. Frias deals, swinging a ground ball, slowly hit to the right side of the infield. Micah Thompson at second base. Picks it up, throws the Van Slyke. That will end the inning, but not before the White Sox score a run on 1 base hit and leave 1. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Dodgers 3-1. Fans guarantee your tickets to opening day with a 2016 Dodgers mini plan. Choose from games with great promotions featuring fan favorites such as bobbleheads and brand new retired numbered pins. Visit Dodgers.com/mini plans. Well, a new pitcher for the White Sox, Zach Putnam. 49 appearances last year, 48 2/3 innings, and a 4.07 ERA. Putnam is the 5th White Sox pitcher of the afternoon. And they made some other changes. We would expect nothing less.
Courtney Hawkins is now in right field, in case his family is listening.
It's Courtney Hawkins Day.
Carlos Sanchez is at second.
Okay. Courtney Hawkins. So here's Putnam. And Scott Van Slyke steps in. Van Slyke is 0 for 2. He struck out and bounced to short, and he lines up base hit into left field. First pitch at the bottom of the 6th. Van Slyke is aboard with a single to left. Now here's Austin Barnes, his first at-bat of the day.
Something we will be looking at as we continue on in spring training is the new rule that has been put out, in particular at second base. You think of game 2 in the NLDS, the Dodgers against the Mets, and the slide of Chase Utley. Tejada was the shortstop, came over and was still attempting to make the throw to first base, and Utley hit him. Well, now the rules, you have to make sure that you slide before you get to the bag. Hasn't changed at all as far as Rule 7.09 paragraph H, judgment of the umpire, the batter, runner, what have you. But you have to be within 6 feet of the bag to one side or the other. But here's reports, not all infielders are happy with the new rule.
Barnes takes a strike. Van Slyke running and stealing second base. One of those common sense rules. Go to the bag.
Well, slide prior to reaching the base, where you can still touch the base. Nothing has really changed as far as the touching the base. You're able to stay on the bag, not changing your pathway in order to, put a bullseye, if you will, on a second baseman or shortstop that's coming by.
Austin Barnes with a liner foul off to the right. That is 1 and 2.
But when I saw the mandate for this ruling, and again, Joe Torre and the advisors not changing 7.09 if you go out of the bag or unintentional. But the first guy I thought of, and I'm not throwing disparaging remarks in his way, Matt Holliday was a guy that slides over the top of the bag to the other side. Well, that's no longer allowed, and I think that is a huge improvement to the rule.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Barnes fouls it back. Well, of course, Utley was suspended 2 games, but there's still an appeal there. So we're talking to Terry Collins when the Dodgers and Mets returned to Dodger Stadium after that game. We're standing around the batting cage. Of course, there's a line drive into left center field for a base hit off the bat of Austin Barnes. Van Slyke rounding third and coming home to score. Sliding into second base. Out at second base, Austin Barnes. Got a little greedy, and he's out with a head-first slide, but his base hit drives in a run, and the Dodgers take a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, I like that hustle right there because you're forcing an outfielder to come over and get the ball. Barnes just went down, got the ball really where he likes it to begin with. But it was a very good defensive play in the outfield to get the ball and make the throw on 2 hops. Barnes thought he was in there, but a bang play.
Jerry Sands, a one-time Dodger with the throw.
Yeah, and if this were regular season, that call would have been, I think, challenged.
Now the hitter is Charlie Culberson, and he takes a strike, 0-1.
And in spring training, there is no replay, and quite frankly, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving.
Culberson came up with the Giants in 2012 and had some games with the Rockies in 13 and 14, all of last year in Albuquerque. Takes a strike outside corner, and it's 0-2. Dodgers with a 4-1 lead, 1 out, 1 in, bottom half of the 5th. Zach Putnam is the White Sox 5th pitcher of the afternoon. Missing outside and low, 1 and 2. So talking to Terry Collins after the controversial play at second base, 24 hours of hindsight. I asked him, well, in your heart of hearts, did you think it was a dirty play? Here's the 1-2. Because you remember that the press conference after the game at Citi Field. He said, well, my shortstop broke his leg. It was basically how he responded. And he said, that's all. He did not have a real issue as Culberson lost one to deep right field. Heading on back is Hawkins, and he can't get it. It's off the wall. Culberson is on his way to third base. Not fielded cleanly out there in right center. And so Culberson, probably a double and an error. Either way, he's at third base with one out.
A good piece of hitting, going with the breaking ball that's out away from him. Drove it a long way, Culberson did.
And he was off and running. And so now Kike Hernandez, the White Sox will bring the infield in with Culberson leading off third. And Putnam misses low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
This is spring training, but these are key at-bats for players and managers too. Knowing what your responsibility is now with the infield in.
Hernandez swings and misses. 1-1. Kike has flied to right and double to left. Dodgers 4 runs, 9 hits and an error. The White Sox 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning in front of a crowd of 5,920. Putnam deals, and Hernandez swings and misses. And it's 1-2. Steps out of the batter's box there. And so just to finish up the thought on the conversation we had with Collins. He said, look, it was the playoffs. It was a hard-nosed baseball play. Middle of the year, maybe it's something different. 1-2, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That was the 7th inning of game 2. The Dodgers went into the bottom or the top of the 7th. Or that's the actually trailing in the game 2-1.
On 2-2, Hernandez with a fly ball to left field. It's well hit. Sands with a leaping catch against the wall. Up. It's an out. But tagging and scoring is Culberson, and the Dodgers take a 5-1 lead.
Yeah, a lot of things went right. First of all, the swing by Kike Hernandez after a wild 1-0 swing at a pitcher's off the plate. Jerry Sands able to time that very well. Got back to the fence to where he could make the leap into the air. Nice play defensively.
So Sands makes 2 very solid defensive plays here in the inning. The leaping catch, and then throwing out Austin Barnes, who is trying to extend a single into a double. And now Guerrero with a fly ball. 1 hop off the wall in left center. Guerrero 2 for 3, a double and a home run.
And Sands didn't catch it. If he caught that one, I'd have left. It's going to be interesting, Charlie, with Guerrero, the way that he can swing the bat. Last year, after he had that success that we were talking about earlier, they threw him a lot of off-speed pitches. They threw him breaking stuff. They throw him high and tight and then go low and away, which is the old standard to get most guys out.
Now Trace Thompson takes high and in. 1 ball, no strikes.
But will he show the discipline in order to handle the breaking ball? I thought Guerrero, I thought he became pull conscious last year after the success earlier on. The swing got very long.
Now Thompson swings and misses, and it's 1-1. Guerrero would finish the year last year at .233 with 11 home runs and 36 runs batted in. And Trace Thompson in 44 games with the White Sox last year hit .295. Here's the 1-1. Putnam deals. Thompson with a ground ball to short. Picked up by Saladino. Throws across the diamond. Thompson is retired. The inning is over, but the Dodgers come up with a couple of runs on 4 hits and leave 1. We'll go to the 7th. They lead it 5-1. Adam Engel will lead it off for the White Sox as we begin the 7th inning. And Frias in his 2nd inning of relief. This is outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Dodgers with a 5-1 lead. Popped up left side near the Dodger dugout. Guerrero leaning in, and it lands on the roof and bounces into the stands. It's 1-1. Dodgers with 2 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd, and 2 in the 6th. And a chopper to short. In comes Culberson, picks it up, sidearm throw on the first base, and that is the first out of the 7th. Dodgers have a new first baseman, Chase DeJong.
Rico Noel takes over in center field. Brandon Hicks is now at 3rd base. For the moment, that is all.
Subject to change without warning.
Immediately.
Rob Brantley is the batter, left-handed hitting. 1 ball, no strikes. Frias pulls the spring, and Brantley swings and misses. 1-1. And a ground ball to short. Culberson picks it up, throws to DeJong. There's 2 out.
Culberson, non-roster invitee to spring training, fielded that one nicely. He just went down on one knee, made sure that he got in front of the ball. Good body position to begin with. Dodgers, by the way, wearing a different cap here in spring training with a large D, the same script that Dodgers is written on, but a different look.
And apparently quite popular. That's the spring training look. And for those of you not watching, Dodgers are wearing their blue jerseys and the white pants. A swing and a pop foul off to the right and out of play. 1-1. Who'd you say this 3rd baseman there?
Is Brandon Hicks.
Okay.
See, the reason I went by is he has a low number. Number 15.
Rico Noel. Ground ball to short. Charlie Culberson's inning. 3 up, 3 down, and all scored 6-3. 7th inning stretch. 6.5. Dodgers 5-1. MLB.TV Premium. Everything you've come to expect and more at a new low price for 2016. Watch every out-of-market game with all 30 teams live and in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Other half of the 7th inning stretch, and the Dodgers will be setting up Micah Johnson. Former White Sox. With Alex Hassan on deck, and then Corey Brown. Many of these guys are complete newcomers to the Dodgers. So we've not seen. Well, we've seen Micah Johnson at the big league level, certainly not in a Dodger uniform, but Alex Hassan, Corey Brown, we're seeing for the first time. And a ground ball slowly hit to short. And Saladino picks it up, throws across the diamond. Johnson retired first out of the 7th.
I didn't see you on Facebook this offseason. I didn't see a lot of tweets.
You never will.
No. We are both invisible in those categories.
Hi, will you friend me? Here's Alex Hassan, and he takes a strike, 0-1.
No. How many fights, arguments, et cetera, have been the result of Obama?
You know, you're just going down into a neighborhood you probably don't want to go. I'm just saying.
I looked all winter. I didn't see you.
Keep looking. 0-2. Jennings a lefty. Deals to Hassan. Low and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jennings a lefty, 6'3", 210. Came up with the Marlins in 2012 and made 53 appearances with the White Sox last year. 3.99 ERA. 1-2. Hassan takes low and outside. 2-2. So for the Dodgers today, 5 runs and 10 base hits. They scored 2 in the first. Ethier with a base hit, Puig with a hit, and Barnes with a base hit. Came up with a run in the second on a Guerrero home run. And a high chopper to third. On to first. Hassan thrown out by Frazier. There's 2 out. Frazier's now out of the game. Tim Anderson is over at third base. Corey Brown coming up. Left-handed hitter. This is his second at bat. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. One of the things that the White Sox are certainly hoping for is some stability at the third base position now that Todd Frazier's in town. They have gone through third baseman over the years. A staggering list. It's been an issue. Of course, Ventura, when he played, was there for years. And a ground ball foul off to the right now to play.
This is strange sometimes how some teams, for whatever reason, over a stretch of years, it's like there's a sign-in sheet.
Mm-hmm. Hoping for some stability. When I was a kid, the Brooklyn Dodgers had a new left fielder every year. Outside and low.
I think of the Dodgers after Ron Say left Los Angeles and went to Chicago. It was like a quiz show. Can you name? I think it was 13 different third basemen.
On 3-2, high and inside, ball 4. So Brown is aboard with a 2-out walk. You're in the bottom half of the 7th inning. The Dodgers a 5-1 lead. If you're just joining us, Clayton Kershaw went 2 innings today, 30 pitches, 21 for strikes. 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, and a walk, no runs. Joe Blanton, a perfect 2 innings. Struck out 3. Garcia pitched well in his inning. Frias has gone 2. The Dodgers lead it 5-1. On this lazy Thursday afternoon in the desert. Outside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike. This is Rob Segedin hitting for the Dodgers. Another one of these fellas getting to know you. Segedin from New Jersey. Well hit ball to right center field. That's going to go to the wall. Rounding third is Brown. He is on his way home, and he will slide in safely. Segedin with the double. And the Dodgers take a 6-1 lead.
Pretty good idea what you're doing in hitting. The ball really maybe the outer third of the plate, but not pulling it. And you've got to be some kind of strong to hit the bottom part of the wall in right center field here. It's 380 in the power alleys. So able to score easily was Brown. The other thing that really liked is that Austin Barnes, who now is the hitter, was standing at home plate and helping his run around. So a lot of different pieces of that puzzle, including Chris Woodward, the new third base coach of the Dodgers, waving around to score Corey Brown.
As Austin Barnes steps in, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Second came over in the offseason in a deal with the Yankees. He's a Jersey boy and a smart cookie. Went to Tulane. Graduated magna cum laude. Dodgers 6-1 as Barnes, big rip. And it's 0-2. Since 2009, we're talking about the Red Sox and the revolving door at third base. 22 different third base. So they're hoping that Frazier can provide some stability.
Almost an entire team.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One and two out, a run in here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Seguin leading off second base. Dan Jennings, a lefty, deals, and Barnes takes outside. It's 2-2.
Just think of the White Sox, if they went that stretch and they had an old timers game and called back a bunch of players.
Call strike 3. Barnes is down, inning is over.
Wouldn't it be funny if they invited all 22 third basemen? That's exactly the position that they went, took the field.
Well, we'll go to the 8th inning, and the Dodgers lead at 6-1. Before we head to the 8th, we'll pause here 10 seconds for station identification on the Dodgers radio network. Charlie Steiner, Rick Monday. First exhibition game of the 2016 season. As we've played 7 innings so far, the Dodgers 6 runs, 11 hits, and an error. The White Sox 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors.
Adam Lipitor is on in relief. And he turned in a very solid first season with the Dodgers last year. Ended up with an ERA of 4 1/4. But he was tossed into a lot of tough situations, lefty on lefty. And on the first pitch, Jason Coates lost one to center field, where Rico Noel is there to make the catch. And that's the first out of the 8th inning.
Yeah, Lipitor just helped round out the back end of the bullpen. J.P. Howell and Lipitor, when they were on, it really gave you a lot of different ways you could go if their left-handers are coming on, because the Dodgers over years have had one lefty coming out of the bullpen, so you make one switch and all of a sudden, boom, then you caught kind of flat-footed, but gave a whole lot of added dimension in that area.
Carlos Sanchez is batting. He's playing at second base now after the start by Brett Laurie. And Sanchez takes a ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Lipitor from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Joe Willie Namath. Lipitor in football country, built like a football player. Got that big, square, rugged jaw and burly shoulders. 6'3", 240. Missing outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Carlos Sanchez. And he takes a strike. It's 2-1. Travis Ishikawa is on deck. Dodgers have led since the first inning. It is 6-1. 1 out, nobody on in the 8th. Lipitor set at the chest. Now here's the pitch. High. 2-1. Well, the big story of the day for the Dodgers beyond the game is the injury and the surgery. Brett Anderson out 3 to 5 months. So you're looking at somewhere beyond the All-Star break. Had a disc issue. A bulging disc. It'll be the second surgery to repair the same disc in the last 2 years. And a grounder foul up the third base line. He felt some discomfort, did Anderson, after throwing some live BP on Tuesday. It got worse yesterday. And then when he started to feel some discomfort down in the leg, they did an MRI. As Lipitor strikes out Sanchez, there's 2 out.
Well, 8th inning of the very first game, and quite frankly, for new manager Dave Roberts saying earlier today, look, I want my guys to play every pitch, every out, and set the theme song really from day one, and to this point they have done exactly that.
They played a crisp brand of baseball today, and of course Kershaw setting the tone. 2 innings. Blanton was good. Garcia, Frias, and now Lipitor.
Yeah, and I think the little things too, Charlie. Who's backing up? Who hit the cutoff man? Who was running hard? He hit the ball. It's not, well, it's only spring training. It doesn't matter. No, they've run the bases well.
1 ball, no strikes. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in spring. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game, and they played it well today.
Yeah. And if you come out and you play sloppy, guess what? That's what you're going to wind up with. And kudos to Dave Roberts and his coaching staff. So look, guys, that's not what we're going to do.
2 balls and no strikes to Ishikawa. 1-time Giant
Going to foul off to the left and out of play. Well, when the day began, both dugouts were crowded, looking like railroad trains at rush hour. Well, there ain't many left on either side. And of course, the White Sox share the facility with the Dodgers, so they've got their own clubhouse facility as Ishikawa takes a strike. So many of the fellas, I'm sure, have showered and raced for their tee times.
They played it right. They'll be on about the third hole now.
Spoken like a veteran. Livator on 2-1. Ishikawa swings and misses. It's in fact strike 3, and that will end the inning. Nothing across. 7.5 in the books. Dodgers 6-1. Well, the White Sox have a new pitcher, and it's just been a picture-perfect Thursday afternoon as Daniel Webb is now on in relief. 27 appearances last year and an ERA of 6 1/3. Opponents lathered him to a .325 batting average. So he is on in relief. And Charlie Culberson is leading it off for the Dodgers. Mo and I will be back with you tomorrow. Radio only. Pregame 11:30. First pitch at 5 afternoon. Scott Kazmir will be going for the Dodgers. Culberson has tripled and scored a run this afternoon, replacing Corey Seager at short. Seager was 0 for 2. And a ball inside and low. 1 ball, no strikes to Culberson. And former Dodger, now returning Dodger, Elian Herrera is in the on-deck circle. The utility fella. So Culberson over Giant and Rocky. Right-handed hitter on 2-1. Checks his swing and fouls it back. It's 2-2.
Culberson over the years did a little bit of damage when he was with the Rockies against the Dodgers.
Outside and low, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes to Culberson, leading off in the bottom half of the 8th.
Charlie, Culberson is also one of those players you kind of overlook things as far as injuries. He had a disc issue last year. It was around June, so it really curtailed what he was able to do, obviously, with just the 5 games.
And he fouls it off to the right and out of play.
But that disc inflammation, he started the season on the disabled list. Then in June, he was finally healthy enough to play and was outrighted to Albuquerque. But it was less than 20 days later that he was back on the disabled list again. And missed the rest of the year.
Talk about some bad luck. He lines up base hit into right field between first and second. Culberson is 2 for 2.
Yeah, a triple, now a single. He scored a run. He's run the bases well. He's been flawless in 3 consecutive balls that were hit to him. In the 7th inning at shortstop, taking over in that position.
Elian Herrera stepping in. Talk about bad luck. Cameron Maben, remember a couple of years ago, made that attempt in right center field with the Padres at the time and broke his collarbone. Well, Maben got hit by a pitch yesterday, and he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Non-displaced fracture of the left wrist. And the season hasn't yet begun. So here's Herrera. No balls and a strike. He swings and misses. And it's 0-2. Elian now 31 from San Pedro de Macorís. Came over with the Dodgers in 2012, then with the Brewers, now back with the Dodgers. It's high and away. And it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Last 4 years, he's played in a total of 223 major league games, so he's been up and back. I guess he falls into the 4A category.
They've been pounding him inside, and this one he takes it off the shin. I waited all winter for that. Yeah, that's one of those injuries too, Charlie. He's going to have to make sure he ices down. That was the inside of the front part of the shin.
On 1 and 2, Herrera fouls it into the dirt.
Elian
is a ball, 2 strikes.
Elian is at his best. He's a slap and run kind of a hitter. He tries to drive the ball and hit it for extra bases. It really works against him, but the outfield is playing relatively shallow, as most oftentimes they do against him.
On 1 and 2, inside 2 balls, 2 strikes. Herrera played 83 games with the Brewers last year. And the Dodgers signed him as a free agent a week before Christmas. And a chopper slowly hit to first. Ishikawa throws the second out at second base. So Herrera is at first, replacing Culberson, who is forced out at second. Brandon Hicks stepping in. Hicks with the Braves and the A's and the Giants. Signed as a free agent last month. Four big league seasons, 126 major league games, and a 153 average. 2 balls and no strikes to Brandon Hicks, and the Dodgers 6-1.
Hicks can play all around the infield. First, second, short, or third.
On 2-0. Pops it foul over our heads, well out of play.
That's versatility that really kind of ranks up high as well. You're a player you're not one-dimensional. In other words, just not one position to be able to play. It does help out.
Hicks takes high and inside. Daniel Webb pitching for the White Sox now. He is the 7th pitcher used by Robin Ventura. Well, the White Sox will have a difficult task. Of course, they've struggled the last few years. And when you've got the world champions in your division, it ain't going to get any easier. And a fly ball to right field. Drifting on back and making the catch is Courtney Hawkins. Second out of the inning. The way things have been going for the White Sox the last few years is staying above 500 is a big deal. And when you're in the same neighborhood as the Royals, it doesn't make it any easier. Jared Dyson, the speedy outfielder of the Royals, he's going to start the year on the DL with the dreaded oblique. Well, the Royals have really become a major league powerhouse. For about 15-20 years, they were lost in space. Rico Noel, the hitter, is hit by a pitch. First and second, 2 out. Noel in his first at bat of the afternoon. Here's Micah Johnson stepping in. His second at bat, he bounced to short in the 7th inning. Well, of course, the Dodgers in the National League West, having won the division each of the last 3 years. 92 wins last year, 94 the year before, 92 the year before that. Johnson takes a strike, 0-1. Well, the Giants are always the Giants, and they pick up Cueto and Samardzija. Denard Span. Arizona, of course. Now with the addition of Greinke and Miller. Corbin now presumably fully healthy. A year and a half, 2 years after his Tommy John. They were a pretty darn good team at the end of the year. They certainly didn't get any weaker in the offseason. The Dodgers have some work to do in 2016. 1 ball, 2 strikes with Herrera leading off second. Call strike 3. And Micah Johnson is down on strike. We'll go to the 9th. The game was over early. 6-1 Dodgers. Brad Paisley with Tyler Farr and Matty and Tay they're live, presumably living too, at Irvine Meadows Amphitheater Friday, May 20th. Buy tickets at livenation.com. And if they're not, you got to scoop. Matt West is on in relief to finish up for the Dodgers. 34 appearances last year at the minor league level. 1 start. Opponents hit .240 against him and a .354 ERA. Right-hander, and he is the Dodgers' 6th pitcher of the day. Kershaw, Blanton, Garcia, Frias, Libator, and now West. And on the first pitch of the 9th, the ground ball to third base, and Mike Olt grounds out. That's the first out of the 9th inning. And here's Jerry Sands. One-time Dodgers had a pretty good afternoon. He's doubled and made 2 outstanding defensive plays for the White Sox out in left field. Radio only tomorrow, as West misses outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Pregame 11:30, first pitch at 5 afternoon. West came over last May from the Blue Jays. 6'1", 230 out of Houston. Takes a strike. Does Jerry Sands, and it's 1-1. West originally drafted by the Texas Rangers, 2nd round pick in 2007, so he's 27. Sands takes low. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Courtney Hawkins is on deck, and the 2-1 to Sands is fouled off to the right. It's 2-2. Dodgers, of course, open the season in San Diego. Then it's on to San Francisco. And the Dodger home opener is Tuesday, April the 12th. 3 with the Diamondbacks, 3 with the Giants. And a ground ball to third. Nicely played at third base by Brandon Hicks. Throws across the diamond for the 2nd out. That one had a lot of topspin on it. Nearly ate up Hicks. But he made the glove save and a beauty. There's 2 out.
That's a big-time play, and that ball just with the overspin that it had on it. Hicks going to his left. He had to smother it really off the side of his body, then turn all the way around to his back to first base before finally throwing the ball over there.
So the White Sox are down to their final out as Courtney Hawkins steps in. And a ball outside, 1 ball, no strikes. So it was a good day for the Dodgers in this spring training opener. Kershaw got his work in, 30 pitches, 21 strikes, couple of strikeouts, no runs and a hit in 2 innings. And the Dodger staff gave up just 1 run and 3 base hits. 1 error committed, and that was a throwing error by Urias, not by Urias, by Frias. Over to first base on a pickoff move. Swing and a miss. 2 balls and a strike to Hawkins. We got a hit and an RBI. Ethier had a hit and a run scored and line to left. Guerrero hit a home run. So all in all, a pretty good day's work turned in.
Yeah, the Dodger pitching staff combined have allowed just 3 hits today. Oh, granted, game 1. Yes, I've always felt that pitchers ahead of hitters at this particular point, but 3 hits nonetheless
The Dodgers offense hammered out 12 base hits. And the last pitch of the game, a swing and a miss. Courtney Hawkins is down and out, and so are the White Sox. Matt West comes in and pitches a 1-2-3 inning. So the line score for the Dodgers: 6 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. They left 7. The White Sox: 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. They left 5. Kershaw won it. Danks lost it. A game that took 2 hours and 31 minutes to play. That's a wrap for us from Glendale. Our Sportsnet LA viewers will rejoin you on Saturday when the Dodgers take on the Diamondbacks right here at Camelback Ranch. First pitch at 5 afternoon. So for Rick Monday, Charlie Steiner saying goodbye from Glendale.